Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Come on in. The door's open to my office. I'm looking forward to a great day with you. It's Tuesday, February the 16th, I think it is today. Let me just double check that. I've been looking at the calendar all day. The 16th. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me. I hope you're watching this live today. But if you are watching this as a recording later in the week, thank you for supporting us in this capacity and the work that we're doing here at Burlington East Presbyterian Church in the beautiful city of Burlington. We're having a bit of a snow day. It didn't look like there was much snow when I got up this morning, but Donna went out for a walk and she said snow was almost up to the top of her boots. And commenting on it partly because this past weekend we got quite a bit of snow. We got a little bit more last night, and apparently Thursday there's going to be even more. Maybe tomorrow with some sun. There's the weather. How about that? You get it all here. All the weather, everything. Anyway, the point is that there was more snow out there than it looked like when I looked out my window. And this particular season, we haven't got a lot of snow down here in Burlington. So it's kind of neat in a way. I don't have to drive in it, and I don't have to shovel snow at this point. So all the more reason. But even when I did have to drive in it and commute in it every day and had to go out and shovel the driveway, I still like the snow. We were just talking about that yesterday. We went out for a bit of a walk, Don and I, and just how much we like this time of year and the snow and the winter. And I know we're weird in that sense, but that's who we are. Some people like the sun and warm weather and all that sort of stuff, and we like the winter, and it just is. Well, anyway, enough of that. Thanks for being here today and for, again, supporting what we're doing here at Burlington East. It's been a long year, and I'm going to be talking about that over the next little while. It has been almost a year that we've been doing these online ways of communicating and trying to keep in touch with everybody, and there doesn't look like there's an end just very quickly, but there is an end in sight, but it doesn't. That target keeps sort of eluding us a little bit, and we're getting ready to move into Lent, and I was working with Pastor Bablitz today, Curtis, my colleague, and getting ready for our service tomorrow, which reminds me, I wanted to talk about our announcements. And when I do that, I want to just mention we've got a special service tomorrow morning at 10:30. So let's just touch on the announcements, and then we'll come back full circle to all of this. Today, the announcements are pretty much standard to what we have. There's a few new ones. Fridays, I put out a newsletter, and that newsletter includes activities that are taking place in our congregation and information sometimes about what's going on here in Burlington, and maybe some information certainly from our national office and some articles to read and devotional time for you as well. Another way for us to stay connected. If you're not getting that newsletter, send me an email, minister@burlingtoneast.net. I'll add you to that list. I'd be more than happy to do that. We do print off limited copies that our elders pick up. So if you know someone in our congregation that doesn't have a computer and they'd like to get a copy of this, please let us know. You can either email me or talk to your elder directly, and they'll get a copy of that out to them. Prayer is a humongous part of what we do here in our church, praying for each other, and prayer is very, very important in our Christian walk and journey, and Lent is pointing us in that direction. If you'd like to be prayed for, or you know somebody that could use a word of prayer, send me an email. I got some email just this morning with that. It's the same email address, minister@burlingtoneast.net, and I'd be glad to add you to that list, growing list. Also, if you'd like to have a visit with me, it's limited clearly by our ability to be with one another, but we are working out ways to get around that. You can either give me a call at the church office and I'll talk to you on the phone, or I can do Skype, which I did with Reverend Bablitz today. We can talk on Skype or Zoom or Google Duo or any of those other video chat systems that are out there. I'd be more than glad to spend some time with you and or a group of us together. Every Sunday morning, we have on this YouTube channel our online services of worship, and we're going to continue that even after we go back into the building. We're working on how we're going to most effectively be able to continue with this online presence. But in the meantime, every Sunday morning at 10:30, right here, you can participate in a church service. And got lots of new ideas cooking around what we're going to hopefully get some people doing some readings and things for us. Here it is, Tuesday afternoon, every Tuesday at 4 at this same YouTube channel. We have this check-in time, a time to chat, a time to look at some videos that you've sent in, and a time for a short devotional. Tell your friends and make sure you subscribe so you'll get the announcements about when we're online. Thursday mornings at 10:30 on Zoom, get together and have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, an hour or so to sit and chat. Some people come in and they're only there for a few minutes because they got other appointments and whatnot, but they just check in and say hi. And it's an opportunity for us to try to keep in touch with one another, even though we can't always do that physically in person. We can certainly do it this way. And we've had people joining us from out in Western Canada and some people up north here in Ontario, north of Burlington, and people right in Burlington. So every week it's a different sort of group of people, and it's fun to get together and do that. Now that's on Zoom, so you'll need to get the link to connect to that because I don't publish it widely. And if you send me an email or give me a call, I will send that link to you so you can join with us. And just I might add, I hate to prolong this, but add to that if you don't have a computer or you know somebody that doesn't have a computer, you can still join us by phone. So if you get in touch with me, I can make you give you all the numbers you need to call and you can participate. So you don't have to have a computer to be with us on Thursday morning. You can do it by phone. Here's what's happening tomorrow morning at 10:30 here live on our YouTube channel. Reverend Bablis from Brant Hills Presbyterian Church and myself have been doing a joint Ash Wednesday, Lent services, and Maundy Thursday service for probably, I guess, 10 years almost now. And this is no exception, even though we're online. We're going to be doing an Ash Wednesday service tomorrow, and Reverend Bablis and I had met today, and we're going over some of the service points, and I think it's going to be very uplifting. So please join us tomorrow at 10:30 right here, and make sure you pass the word around. Let people know. Some of the people in Brant Hills may not get word of this, and we want to let them know as well. And starting next Wednesday at 11:30 on the same YouTube channel, I'm going to do a series on the symbols of Lent. Time for us to have a midweek devotional. And it's only going to be about 30 minutes long, so that right after that we can go off and have lunch. Normally we would do that in our church building, but since we can't do that, we're going to try and do that this way. So please, I hope you'll participate in this. Only a half hour of your day just to sit and together with this devotional, and I know you'll be fully uplifted by that. Now, I have to go back to the live and forgot to turn off the door, so I'll do that right away. There we go. We don't need the door opening every time you come in my office. You're more than welcome to stay. Lots on the stack today as far as videos and whatnot go. People have been great. People have been sending in lots of videos for me to show. Now, last week, if you were watching us, partway through the show, we got preempted by YouTube because one of the videos I was showing apparently had some kind of a copyright issue. I clipped that out after the fact and the whole show was there. So if that happens today, just hang in there. We'll be back with whatever happens. Although I think I've looked over all the stuff and there shouldn't be any issues. This is all new waters for us in churches and whatnot, trying to deal with copyright matters, and this YouTube has this all automated, so there's not like I can phone somebody up and say, sorry, it just happens, it's all computerized. So if it does clip out, that's why. But the first thing I do want to share with you is a short video by the medical officer of Halton, region of Halton, and she's got an update. This is from about 5 days ago. She does an update on the variants of concern, is a phrase you may have heard when they've been talking about COVID, and she just does a little bit of an explanation of that, and that will form the COVID update that we have. Now, I did check the numbers earlier, and I believe we're under 1,000 as far as positive cases go today, although the number is down. It's early in the week, so that could get back up, but we are trending in sort of the right direction. But there's still concern, and that's why I wanted to show this video about variants of concern. Although the main COVID, the first wave version of COVID, seems to be working its way down a little bit, these other three variants, B117, I can't remember the other one, South African one, and the one from Brazil, they're kind of on an upswing, and it could get out of control if we're not careful. So anyway, here she does, and she explains this quite well. I'll be back right after this.
There has been lots of discussion recently about variants of concern, or VOCs, and I want to address some common questions about what they are and how they can potentially impact our response to the pandemic. Genetic variations of viruses, such as the one that causes COVID-19, are common. The term variant is used to describe cases where there have been several significant mutations or changes to a virus. While most of these mutations will not have a significant impact, some may provide the virus with a specific advantage, such as the ability to spread more quickly. When there are significant mutations to the virus, scientists call it a variant, and when this affects disease spread, disease severity, the tests used to detect the virus, or the effectiveness of vaccines and treatments, it is called a variant of concern. Currently, there are 3 COVID-19 variants of concern circulating globally, and these have been identified in the United Kingdom, South Africa, and Brazil. All 3 of these mutations have now been identified in Ontario. So far, there are no signs of the variants causing worse outcomes at an individual level, but each variant seems to make the virus more infectious, allowing it to spread faster, ultimately causing more COVID-19 infections among people. In fact, we are hearing that in some cases, people who are exposed to variants become infectious within hours or a couple of days from being exposed, versus the more typical 5 to 7 days of incubation we had been seeing with COVID-19 previously. The federal government has a monitoring program to identify new COVID-19 variants in Canada, and the province is ramping up screening of COVID-19 cases for the variants. In Halton, we have adjusted some of our local public health response measures already. For example, our case and contact management staff are following stronger guidance from Public Health Ontario to rapidly identify those exposed to a person with COVID-19, especially a variant of COVID-19, and instruct them to isolate right away and get tested, potentially twice during their incubation period. If I can be clear about one thing, it would be this: no matter what level of the framework we are placed in, it is crucial that we all continue to make decisions that protect ourselves and others and the community. This includes recognizing that the risk posed by new variants of the virus are a serious threat. So please, I urge all residents to continue these actions. Stay at home as much as possible and only go out for essential purposes. Stick with your household and avoid all indoor and outdoor gatherings. And take your symptoms seriously, even if they are mild. If you have any symptoms, self-isolate right away and get tested. COVID-19 spreads easily if we let it. With these new, more contagious variants circulating, it is especially important for us to do our part to reduce the spread of COVID-19. As always, please make sure you are getting your information from reliable sources. Please visit halton.ca/COVID-19 to learn more about the virus, including the new variants, as well as information about testing and about local public health measures. Thank you, Halton, for staying the course. Please continue to stay safe and be kind.
Well, there you go. That's a lot of very good information. And that link that she mentioned is also just below this video on our YouTube channel. If you want to click on that afterwards, you can go and explore. The site might be a little confusing at first when you get in there, but once you figure out where everything is, it is very informative. And she's raising a very good point about making sure you get the information from a direct source, not somebody that told somebody that told somebody, but go right to the Ontario government has its own COVID page, the federal government does, and the Halton region does as well. These are good places to get the proper information, especially when we're asking questions about the vaccine itself and all these variants of concern. All right, there we go. That's our COVID update, and we're still going to be doing this for the next while. There's no direct word on us getting back into the building, even though restrictions have changed here in Halton. I haven't heard of any other churches yet that are reopening right away this week, because today's the day when all the levels have shifted. But I will keep my ear to the ground, and if you happen to hear about anything like that, let me know. Certainly send me an email or give me a call. All right, let's take a look and see what we've got in the web box for this week of goodies that people have sent in and found for me, and I found myself, and take a peek and see what's there. Found on the web this week. We got quite a few things, actually. Quite a number of things, actually, folks, that are coming up. And this first one is called Morning Smile. And Ron, I want to thank you having sent this in. I think it was Ron that sent this in, and probably from your uncle. He's a good source for all this stuff. And John Henderson is another one for me. And Donna found a few even this week. So anyway, this first one is a bunch of pets doing fun things just to kind of start our time off together, with a bright smile. Here it is. There you go, some fun stuff with pets to start us off with a bit of a smile. Lots of really good stuff going on there. The other next one we've got is a slideshow. Ron put these pictures together and sent them in to me. The first half of this little slideshow is talking about snowmen. And if you've seen the news, people have been building giant snowmen on their front lawns at various places. So this is a tribute to those. And then the second half of this little slideshow is stuff that's happened naturally with snow melting or ice melting or snow building up. And I think you'll find it very intriguing. Here it is. That's some pretty amazing pictures, and we got a few more of those lined up for today as well. Thanks, Ron, for sending those in. There was a lot of fun, and those some pretty amazing things. I like that ribbon from the slide when the ice melted down. That was pretty cool. Well, this next one was another one that was sent in, and it's was titled "What to Do with Your Bills." And I guess it's what to do with your bills and have some fun at the same time. This is really cute, and I hope it made me chuckle. I hope it helps you to do the same. Who would have thought tearing paper was so funny? But that baby just clearly just got a real thrill out of that for some reason. Babies just find it, we need to maybe be a little more like that. Just little things like that can make us real happy. Well, speaking of happy, Arna sent in a bunch of photographs here that she didn't take but found. And it originally was titled, there's 7 colors in the rainbow, and look what can happen when birds kind of make good use of those colors. And here it is, and I hope you enjoy it. Absolutely breathtaking colors on those birds. It's just pretty amazing. Thanks, Arna, for sending those in. Now, another friend of mine, Peter, who I've known since high school, sent in some little cartoons here for and about seniors. And I want to thank Peter for sending those in to me, and I had an opportunity to put these on the air today. And I hope you enjoy them too. It's just some funny little one-frame cartoons, again, for and about seniors. Thanks for sending those in, Peter. Much appreciated, and really great. Some of that stuff's pretty funny, I gotta say. Donna found this next short video that we have, and a slideshow, pardon me, of pictures of pets with little captions underneath them. Because everybody that's got a pet, they've been probably spending lots of time, more time than normal, dealing with their pets, and maybe the pets are getting a little tired of it. That's what some of these cartoons are kind of alluding to. Go do something else. I need a break. I love you, but. That's great. Thanks, Donna, for sending those up to me. And it's great. You got to think about it sometimes. Maybe the pets are getting a little bit tired of things. That picture of the bear, there was a caption underneath that was cut off. It was, checking because I was here in the spring. Are you still there? And anyway, it was cute. You may have seen that before. There's a time when we can really be thinking about being thankful for all that we have. And this next video, again, Donna found this from a friend of hers. And not everything is in lockdown. There's some things that we still can appreciate and express, even though we're in this particular state. So enjoy this video. Lovely thought, and not just a thought, but something to really kind of wrap our minds and around that. This has been a long haul. This being stuck away from our friends and family, but there's lots of things that we need to be really truly appreciating, and maybe some of what's going on these days is causing us to maybe rethink how much we appreciate the various things we have in our lives. This next segment, I think John sent this in to me, and it's a comedian, and he's a short segment where he's talking about the car names and putting a bit of a spin on what do we mean and the trends and stuff. Anyway, you'll enjoy this. It's not very long, but I thought it was pretty funny. Thanks.
Flew into Salt Lake City and drove down here. That on the highway, that's the most mysterious time for me. Trying to keep track of that world around you. How do you keep track of all those car names that are out there? Hundreds of different car names. How am I supposed to keep those all straight? Some cars don't have a name. All they've got is a number. That never made sense to me unless you're trying to get the biggest number. I'll give you an example. Mazda's got a 2, they got a 3, they got a 5, they got a 6. Oldsmobile had an 88 and a 98. Chrysler's got a 200 and a 300. Mazda had a 323. Ford had a 500. Mazda had a 626 and a 929. Pontiac had a 1000. Audi's got a 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Pontiac had a 6,000. Saab had a 9,000. Nissan just said to heck with it. Now they make an Infinity. Top that. Chrysler Mitsubishi's a little nuts. They got a Vision, an Eclipse, and a Mirage. A Vision, which is really something to look at. An Eclipse, that's something you shouldn't look at. Mirage, something you're not even really looking at. Is that your car? I think so, but I've been fooled before. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about that. They have cars named for the heart of the big city all the way on out to the sticks. For the inner city, Metro, a little further out. Suburban, further out still, town car. One that can't decide town and country. Further out, they got the Villager. Beyond that, they got the Forester. Beyond the Forest, they got the Frontier. Beyond the Frontier, the Yukon, the Denali, the Tundra, and the Outback. And way the heck out there, Mercury and Saturn. Plymouth made a Reliant. I had one. They call it that because it made you reliant on public transportation, by golly. That was it. Can the cars do what their names sound like they can do? And if they can, I guess they can do a lot of different things. Get one that does what you need doing. If you're going someplace and there are no roads, get a Pathfinder or a Trailblazer. If nobody's ever been there before, you'll need a Discovery or an Explorer. If you're a little bit lonely, get yourself an Escort. Yeah. Or maybe an Amigo or a Sidekick. You know, shop around a little bit. Get the car based on the kind of trip you want to take. You want to take a short trip? Get a Sprint. Get a longer trip, a Journey. A hopeful trip, get a Quest. A long, hard trip, an Expedition or an Excursion. And if you want to stay away for years, get an Odyssey. Get the car based on how you're feeling, you know what I'm saying? Your mood at the time. If you want to be daring, get a Venture or an Intrepid. If you want to be a gentleman, get a Gallant. If you want to go overseas, pick up a Passport. If you can't concentrate, get a Focus! Shut up, I got a Focus over here! If you have a large, protruding navel, get an Audi. You know, come on. If you like to stay in shape, get a Fit. If you've sort of let it slide, get an Avalanche. If you got a score to settle, get an Avenger. If your batteries are low, pick up a Charger. And if you're in a horrible marriage, you might think about an escape.
Well, there you go. Think about car names in a different way. I'm just sitting here watching that video again, and I'm thinking, that guy sounds familiar, because I'm not sure who the comedian is, but he sure sounds like George Carlin of the old days, if you think about it. Anyway, very good, though, nonetheless. I really liked it. This next is a short video on an experiment that was done. I think Volkswagen or somebody sponsored it, and they were doing an experiment in... there's I guess it's like a subway kind of a thing, or public transit. Anyway, there's stairs and an escalator, and they show the video where most people take the escalator, but then they did something to the stairs to make them fun, to kind of play with, and then more people started using the stairs. An interesting sort of social experiment, and here it is: stairs versus the escalator, and I think yeah, it's entertaining. There you go, a little bit of an experiment, and showing, as the video played on a little further, that the time-lapse photography and more people going up the stairs than going up the escalator. It's pretty cool. Just have a little bit of fun. And, you know, sometimes when we're doing regular things around the house, just adding a bit of a dimension of fun to it can make it all the more easy to do, and even more healthy, as that I think was implying as well. Speaking of healthy, this next segment Ron sent in to me, and it's a bunch of people doing a pile of different stunts. I'm not recommending it. I think this was titled "Don't Do This at Home," and I have to say that, do not do this at home. Although some of the backflips you'll see, once upon a time, I could do some of that stuff. Not anymore. There's too much of me, and I'm too old. But anyway, it brought back some memories when I was watching it. I could feel my legs kind of going a little bit with it, if you know what I mean. If you've ever done that sort of stuff, you know what I mean. Anyway, here it is, a bunch of different sort of quite dramatic stunts. Pretty awesome jumping and stuff like that going on there. Like I said, once upon a time I could do quite a bit of that, but not anymore. But it's fun to watch nonetheless. Thanks, Ron, for sending that in. Now this next video I want to show you, I have to show you this photograph first. This is The Night Watch by Rembrandt, and you have to look at this photograph, or this painting, this photograph of a painting, fairly closely, because you could try to imagine that image. And then I'm going to show you this next video that was done, I believe, in the Netherlands. And it's pretty cool. Here it is. So there's the painting again, the original, and you can see they did a really good job advertising for the art gallery over there, and they had those actors running around in the mall. It'd be pretty cool to see. That was quite something. I was pretty impressed. The music segment that I have for today is it's a sample of Whistling by Roger Whittaker, and he's pretty good at it. And I want to thank this for being sent in to me. I think John or Ron, one of the two of them, sent it to me, and it's a really wonderful example of some piece of music by this very talented fella, Roger Whittaker. Incredibly good whistling there, and that's something I do not that well at all, but I whistle when I'm doing things and concentrating. It drives people nutty, but if I whistled that good, maybe it wouldn't bother them quite so much. Well, we're going to move into today's devotional and take a peek at that, and as we do, we'll be reading from Psalm 28 today, and we'll go into that right now. So today we're going to read from Psalm 28, and it's titled Prayer for Help and Thanksgiving for It of David. And we're once again reading from the New Revised Standard Version. To you, O Lord, I call, my rock, do not refuse to hear me, for if you are silent to me, I shall be like those who go down to the pit. Hear the voice of my supplication as I cry to you for help, as I lift up my hands towards your most holy sanctuary. Blessed be the Lord, for he has heard the sound of my pleadings. The Lord is my strength and my shield. In him my heart trusts. So I am helped, and my heart exalts, and with my song I give thanks to him. The Lord is the strength of his people. He is the saving refuge of his anointed. O save your people and bless your heritage. Be their shepherd and carry them forever. Well, if you've been following us on Tuesdays for the last number of months, you know that quite often I read from Psalms, and I like to read from Psalms in particular because the situation we find ourselves in this last while, there's so many Psalms that address this feeling that we may be having of kind of when is this going to end? And oh Lord, hear our prayers and be with us. In Psalm 28, it's great. And it's also when I took a course years ago on the Psalms, one of the professors I had was talking about a Yiddish word called chutzpah. And it's sort of this respectful boldness, I think was the way that she'd put it. And there's sort of a tune of that or a hint of that in various writings, and particularly in some Psalms. And there's one in here, Lord, don't refuse me. Do not refuse to hear me. For if you're silent to me, I shall be like those who go down to the pit. And the pit being a place of death. So that it's not just a matter of I'm going to be so let down I'm going to die. It's that I'll be useless to you, God, and how's that going to reflect on you? And there's other verses in some Psalms that say, what will people think if you don't help me? They're going to say, well, this God's no good, and it's kind of putting it to God that you got to do something here. And that's that chutzpah. And it's, like I say, it's respectful boldness, knowing that we are God's people and God's children, and sort of making that not a demand, but that bold request, and knowing who we are before God. But this psalm is a great one. We don't normally read, I would think, from Psalm 28 in any lectionary readings, or it's not necessarily always picked because it's just one of those many that are out there. But I like this one because, again, the very end, it's talking about we are God's anointed. We are part of God's heritage, and that God is our shepherd. And we know that from Psalm 23. There's this shepherd theme that runs through many of them. But the Lord is the strength of his people. Again, the strength that we have is not just in ourselves, but comes from God. And so when we're in this really tough situation that we're finding ourselves with, this COVID lockdown and all the restrictions and changes that it's made, we can put our prayers before God, and we can remember that God is our strength, not just coming out of us. It's not, because we'll run out quickly, and many people are finding it really difficult. And I think spending some time reading these Psalms and reflecting on how David, in particular, when he was writing these, dealt with the situations that he was in that seemed endless. David was pursued into the wilderness more than once in his life. And the outcome turned out okay, but in the middle of it, or in the midst of it, it didn't seem like it was ever going to end, or it was going to end well. And that's kind of how we might be feeling right now. We're in the midst of things, and it doesn't look like it's ever going to end. It doesn't look like it's maybe even going to end well. Where there's a sense of fear. Am I going to get sick? And if I do, what's going to happen? And if someone I love gets, just all of that is built into this. So these Psalms, like Psalm 28, say, stop for a minute. Stop for a minute. Think about what God has done, what God will be doing, what God is doing. Put it in God's hands. And a lot easier said than done, I get that. But it's the stopping for a moment and reflecting and putting it into those kinds of words. Lord, hear me. How long will this be? The other thing about Psalms like this that encouraged me is that when they were written, it wasn't couched with all this sort of buffered stuff. That's the word I'm going to put on, a phrase I want to put on that, of sort of, well, I know things are good, God, so you'll be there. It was saying what was really in their heart, David's heart. How long is this going to go on? He's being honest before God. God knows what's going on in our heart. Say that. Be that in that moment. But don't leave it there, because David never does in these Psalms. Because at the end, he says things like, I remember the times when you've helped me in the past. I'm going to hold on to those. You're a God of strength. You're a God who it makes us part of, as in this wording here. We are part of your anointed. We are part of your heritage. You are our shepherd forever. There's that reminder at the end. So there's this sense of, I'm being honest and I'm scared and my hands are up in the air and I don't know what to do. But at the end, I know you've come through before, you will again. I know you love us before, you will love us again, and still do love us right now. Anyway, that's Psalm 28. I pray that that's been a bit of an encouragement for you today. Now, before I move on, I just wanted to reach over here. I've been reading a series of books by a colleague of mine who I spent some time with years back and was in touch with again, Dr. Andrew Root. He's the professor at Princeton University, and he's written 3 books, and I'm looking, they may not show up too well because I've got the green screen turned on, but anyway, I'll flip them over here. And these are a series of 3 books he's written, and it's Faith Formation in a Secular Age, The Pastor in a Secular Age, and The Congregation in a Secular Age. And I'm hoping that this is going to give myself some encouragement and information that I can be able to pass on with our congregation about what we're living in, the modern times that we're in this secular age in which we find ourselves. We're not in an age when the church is at the front of the line anymore. And how can we do what we want to do? How can we be developing our faith? How can we pastor one another? How can we even be a congregation in a day such as this? So just some information about some books I'm looking at currently. Folks, as we do every Tuesday, pretty much every Tuesday, we spend some time praying for others, and today is going to be no exception to that. We're praying for other people in our congregation and in our family, and if you've been following what I do here on Tuesdays and Sundays, there's an opportunity for you to say somebody's name during this prayer time, and I encourage you to do that. These prayer requests that I get in, I keep in a ongoing list here that I have with me, and had some come in even today. So we're going to be remembering in particular Wayne F., a member of our congregation. Wayne's brother died from cancer back in the springtime, and just yesterday we got word that his sister died of the same thing. So Wayne's been hit twice during COVID, and because of the lockdown situation, it's really put some serious restrictions on their ability to gather as a family and grieve and mourn as they need to. So we really want to be praying for Wayne in particular, and there's some other names that I have here I'll mention. But let's just take a moment. You know somebody in your life that needs to be prayed for. This is your opportunity to do it. Nothing fancy, nothing preconceived, no fancy words, just their name. So I'm going to start praying, and I'll be quiet for a moment, and I'll tell you that that's the time to say that person's name out loud. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching this as a recording, God is listening. And I really hope you'll take this time to do this. And I've said this before, I am going to say it again. It's important to not just think the name. That's good if that's all you can do, I get that. But try to say their name out loud. It's amazing what that can do for you in yourself. It puts that name out there, and you can hear it yourself, even though it's your own voice. And it's an affirmation of your faith and the faith you have in the Lord. So let's take a moment and do that. Lord, thank you for this time of prayer and a time that we can gather on a weekly basis. We've got names on our list here, Lord, and particularly today, we've mentioned Wayne F. of our congregation. He's lost 2 siblings within the last 10 or 11 months, and it's been tough to have to deal with that. And so we're praying for him and his immediate family, and that you'll be with him at this time of loss. Lord, there's a long list of names that I have here. Some people have been reported to have COVID, others have cancer. Others are thankful, Lord, for things that you've been doing in their lives. And so as I look over this list, I hold those names up to you. And another name that I hold up that came up this week is Lois B. from our congregation. And I know that she's been struggling in her health in different ways, and we just want to think about her today as well. Now, Lord, as we continue in this prayer, and I'll be quiet, I want you to listen carefully for the names that are going to be said by people who are participating in today's time together. So people, say those names now. Thank you for these names that have been offered, Lord. We pray you'll bless those names and the people that they represent and the families that they represent. And thank you for the people who've offered those names and their active faith. We hold this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, that's about what we've got for today's time together. I'm looking outside and notice that there's 3 kids out in the snow making snow angels. Maybe you want to go out and try that yourself. Like my last week's newsletter, Donna's aunt, I had a picture of her. She's 105. She was out there making one as well. Maybe you could do the same. And don't forget tomorrow morning at 10:30 is our Ash Wednesday service. I hope you'll join us for that. It's only going to be about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes at the most, and it's just the time to begin our Lenten journey. So I hope to see you tomorrow at 10:30 here on our YouTube channel, and again on Sunday during our church service. Thanks for being with me. I'm Reverend Bruce McCanch, and I pray that God will bless you and be with you, and that we had a bit of fun together today with all these videos and our devotional time. We'll see you next time. Thank you. You know someone who wants to watch our online worship services on Sunday mornings, but they've got no internet access. Here at BEPC, that's not a problem at all. You can use a regular home phone to access our online worship services every Sunday morning at 10:30. All you need to do is call this number, 289-635-4052. And when you connect, enter this access code, 3744. Well, there's one more thing. Once you've connected, please press *1 to mute your voice. You'll hear better that way. Those numbers again, 289-635-4052, access code 3744. Please don't forget, *1 to mute your voice. For more information, send an email to minister@burlingtoneast.net. See you next Sunday.